Hello and a very warm welcome to Widowed AF. I'm your host, I'm Rosie Moss. Today's episode is a little bit different because you've just got me. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. I said I was hanging up my microphone earlier in the week and I changed my mind because that is a woman's prerogative. And I wanted to just jump on, spend, I don't know how long it's going to be. There's no script. We're just going to go with it. But I just wanted to jump on and I suppose express my enormous gratitude for starters, because we've just finished season 3 of WAF, which means that it's been going for 3 years. How amazing is that? So, yeah, I mean, even it just to think way back when this idea was just a little kind of kernel in my head, and to think of how far it's come. So I'm here to kind of be grateful for everything that you guys have done for me, because whilst it's lovely and I really love to get these messages from people who say that I've helped them, we've helped them as a collective, because let's be honest, I said this before, if it was just me talking in every episode, I don't think we would have got past season 1. So enormous, whilst I get these amazing messages and they mean so much to me, they really do, please don't stop sending them. I would like you guys to know how much you've helped me. It's no secret that this year's been quite a tough year for me. For anybody that doesn't know, or randomly you're listening to this as your first episode, welcome. My marriage broke down this year. So yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough having to kind of navigate through and find out who I am on my own, going back to solo parenting. It's been really challenging. And when I kind of publicly spoke about it, the outpouring of support I got from you guys was just incredible. And when things have been really tough, I've been able to post on social media, or I've been able to talk about it here. And you guys have understood, and you've stood by me, you've stuck with me through many changes, really, and you're still here. And we're, the downloads are enormous now. They're, I think, 150,000 last time I checked. And what that means is not only are we helping each other within the widowed community, it means that these voices, these stories are actually getting out wider. So people are hearing them. And doesn't that tell you that there's an appetite to hear it? Because, one of my favourite little catch lines is, if you're in a romantic partner, one of you's going to die first. So there's kind of 50% chance for most people of being widowed. We all like to think that we'll die, of old age, holding hands, but the podcast would say that this doesn't always happen. So I think this need for knowledge and to be informed that we have as human beings, I think that's what our stories are doing. They're kind of going out into the wider community and helping people to not only be more compassionate to us, but to kind of be prepared for when it may or may happen to them. Obviously, I can't record an end of season without talking about the podcast awards. So I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to an email I received from the podcast awards saying that I had been shortlisted. Now, I applied because you kind of have to, right? You have to apply for these things. And at no point did I think I might win this thing. At no point did I think I'd get shortlisted. In fact, when I did, I rang my mum and dad and I was so upset. Well, I wasn't upset, I was so tearful and emotional. And I had to say very quickly, it's a good thing, because obviously, everybody's traumatized, aren't they? And I still didn't think, of course, that I was going to place at all. But I was really excited to go. I had a beautiful suit, I had my hair and makeup done, my best friend, my parents came with me, and we went up to the O2. And I just felt like somebody's going to realise I'm not meant to be here, because there was, big BBC teams and people from Spotify and Acast and Apple. Like it was big wigs, right? And then there's us sitting awkwardly. I won't tell you how much the tickets cost either. Didn't expect that. So we get there and we are sitting at perched on our stools, and we're watching everybody come up. And all the way through, I've been saying, look, I don't care if I win. I just want to be here. This is just such an honour to be involved. And then as I watched some of these winners go up on the stage, there was a little part of me that thought, God, I really want that. I really want it. But still, did not think it'd happen. So when they came to the best interview category, They listed out bronze, silver, and gold for each category. You only got to go on stage if you got gold. So again, I'm thinking, well, you never know. They might give me a bronze. Give the little guy a bit of a boost, kind of thing. So they read out Louis Theroux, third. And I looked at my mum and dad and my friend, and we sort of went, oh well, it's nice to be included. And then it was Emily Maitlis and the Newsagents for silver. Huge fan of Emily. And again, brilliant, round of applause. Oh, lovely. How can you possibly compete against these, behemoths of broadcasting? So my friend, she's still filming at this point. She said afterwards, I don't know why I'm still filming, because you obviously haven't won. And then suddenly my podcast, Widowed AF, is being called out, and they're reading this description of the podcast saying how it's become a lifeline for people. And it was almost otherworldly. I leapt out of my seat like a rocket was under my arse, because I thought they might have made a mistake, quite frankly, and I wanted to get up there before they changed their minds. And as I walked up, people were, looking around. Who is this? Because, I was the only kind of unknown in the category. And you know what, that room, everybody saw it was just me going up, no entourage, and they just started to applaud. And as I walked up on stage, the photographer said to me, bloody well done. And it was Nick Grimshaw who presented me with the award, and he, gave me this massive hug. And afterwards he came off stage with me, and my mum and dad were waiting for me. And oh my God, yeah, I'm reliving it as I'm saying it to you. What an incredible honour and experience and opportunity, and just to be recognised amongst the best of podcast broadcasting. Yeah, it's overwhelmingly brilliant, and I really hope that it's going to lead to some exciting opportunities for me in the future. But I genuinely couldn't have done it without you guys. I really couldn't. The people who share the podcast, talk about it, recommend it. It's all word of mouth. There's been no PR strategy and marketing. There's no budget behind this thing. So it is entirely word of mouth. And for that, I am very grateful, because that's you guys. That's what you've done. So thank you. Thank you ever so much. There's been some other challenging bits to this year, not least the fact that my daughter's relationship with school broke down. No real fault of the school, and certainly no fault of my daughter's. But I think the breakdown of this marriage and essentially the sudden loss of her father figure has meant that what I'm seeing is a trauma response. And she's neurodivergent as well. And so a real exacerbation of kind of autistic traits, and real increased anxiety, separation issues. And one of my other job, my paid job, is that I host a podcast for a group of autistic schools. It's called Autism Unpacked. And I'm not just saying this because I host it, but it is brilliant. I get to speak to some amazing experts in the field of neurodivergence. And I feel like I've become incredibly well educated through just hosting it. And one of the episodes I recorded was an episode which is emotionally based school avoidance. Now, I know that we have a disproportionately high number of children who are unable to access school within the widowed community. And if you break that down and you think about children who've lost a parent and how that might demonstrate an increased attachment, increased anxiety, increased perhaps mental health issues, sleep issues, food issues. We know that all of these are trauma impacts on a child. So is it any wonder sometimes that they can't get to school? And I think I know that we live, and I'm speaking to the UK here, in a society where in-school education is often prioritised above all else. And I mean above mental health, physical health, emotional well-being. Parents are under enormous pressure to get their children into school on time and every day. Schools are under enormous pressure to get the parents to get the children into school. So this is not me bashing the schools themselves, but perhaps the system is broken, right? So as I watched my daughter struggle, she didn't want to go in the battle in the morning. It was taking me 2 to 3 hours to get her to school. And bear in mind, I have another son that I have to get to school. The other one thankfully goes on the minibus. So everything was feeling incredibly tense, incredibly stressful, incredibly, it was damaging our relationship, I felt like everything was a battle, and I would pick her up from school, and the restraint from school, she'd be so dysregulated. And then that was having an impact on her being able to do anything at all. The dance that she has loved since she was 2, she lost interest in dancing. She didn't want to see people. It really, really was impacting her. So I made a bit of a decision, and that decision was to remove her from education, just temporarily, I hope. I say I hope. If it turns out to be the best thing for her, and when I attempt to reintegrate her back to school, if that doesn't work, then perhaps I'm not committing this. Let's see how it goes. But the idea is that she has a period of time at home with me, kind of unschooling. So I'd be lying if I said there was an enormous amount of education in terms of formal sit-down workbook type education going on. But she has access to some online lessons, and we do a lot of trips out, and, just general, just kind of just resting a bit as well, And I will say that the difference in her since October to now has been dramatic, really dramatic. She is calm and settled, and actually quite keen to try school again. So again, some of you will know that we are selling our family home. So we'll be moving hopefully back to Faversham, which is where I used to live. And I found a lovely school. So fingers crossed, in the new year, we will start to be able to kind of step out of this period of almost limbo, because we know we've got to move out the house, but the house isn't sold. We know we're going to be moving location, but we don't know where. And so if you think got a house full of neurodivergent people, that's quite unsettling. So my hope is that in the new year, we'll have done a year. I think we'll be all right. I am a bit scared. I'm a bit scared about how I'm going to finance everything, how I'm going to be able to work, because that's been a really challenging aspect of it. Is I want to be able to give her the time and the dedication that she obviously needs from me, but I'm also the main earner now. So I do have to work, and I do have to push the podcast, and I do have to do the really, the endless feeding of the social media beast. And I'm finding that at times I would be, working 12-hour days and things like that. So I've got to figure out how I can have a better work-life balance, because otherwise I have repeatedly burnt out this year, if I'm honest. So I need to figure out a way to do this better. There you go. That's a vague New Year's resolution. Find out how to do this better. I'll get there. It's, we're figuring out. None of us have done this before. I've got 3 children, and I still don't really know what I'm doing, if I'm being honest. They're all different, right? They're all different. But what I would say is, after quite a turbulent year, all of my children are doing really well. They're really, really well. My eldest is academically flying. He's done Duke of Edinburgh. I could mum brag, I could wax lyrical about how amazing my kids are, but they really are. And there's been points this year where, the enormity and the fear and the loneliness, I guess, has almost threatened to overwhelm me a bit. And I think also when you're dealing with a child who's in distress, I don't have any, my daughter sleeps in my bed, so I'm kind of with her 24 hours a day. And I'm not complaining about it, because it's I guess it's an honour that she needs that from me. But at times it can feel almost suffocating, that you are the only person that's dealing with all of the, the separation, the house move, the making sure they're doing okay academically, making sure they get to all their clubs, activities, dentists, doctors, haircuts. I could go on. And I think, as somebody who suffers massively with their executive function, there's been times where I've wanted to give up this year. Just wanted to throw my hands in the air and say, I can't do this on my own. I can't. And yet somehow we've kept going, and the bond between me and those 3 children is really, really close, really close. And I think it always will be. We bicker. Of course we bicker. Of course they bicker. God. But we are very close, and they're all happy, and they're really looking forward to Christmas. We've got my mum and dad and my brother coming over, and my best friend is coming over tomorrow as well. So it should be a really fun but chilled day. But yeah, I'm very grateful for those kids. So what else has happened this year? I just checking my notes. I hosted my first retreat, which was just amazing. So I went out to America. I was booked to go and speak at a widowed retreat, which again was hugely exciting. What a career move, amazing. Being paid to go to America. And while I was there, I've actually not been to a widow's retreat. So while I was there, I looked around at this group of women. They were all different ages, from all different backgrounds, all different areas, widowed in all different ways. And I watched these group of women form bonds, and I kind of got involved. We'd do sharing circles. I'm in. So I got something from it, as well as it being an employment opportunity. I actually got something kind of spiritual from it, without being spiritual, if you know what I mean. So I came home and I thought I could do something like this. I reckon I'll have a bash. And the house that I currently live in is designed for a much bigger family. So, because there were 6 of us, so I have a couple of spare rooms. So I thought, whilst I'm in this house, let's use it. And so I pulled together a retreat schedule. I booked a yoga teacher, put an advert out, and I needed 5 people to come to make it viable. I got 10, including me. And it was just the most healing, therapeutic, kind, funny, just amazing weekend of my life. I thought I'd be very much on the periphery. I cooked everything, I know, right? And, I'd be changing beds and making sure everybody was happy and taken care of. But actually, yes, there was a, fair amount of that going on. But I also made some best friends for life, The Saturday night, we sat by the fire and a few people had some wine, and I'm going to tell you, it had like hen party vibes at times. It got funny. It wasn't what I expected at all. And I really didn't expect it to bring me so much healing. I wonder if perhaps, 7.5 years into being widowed, you don't often get that opportunity to talk about your grief in such detail and to kind of just immerse yourself in it, which sounds really, really depressing and sad. But I think it's always there, right? It's always there at the back of my mind. It's always just out of my peripheral vision. And I think just giving into it, just indulging it, letting it be griefy and crying and listening to these amazing women talk about their own experiences and how strong, I know that word, but how strong, how powerful they are, and how brave, how brave to come to somebody's house. And one of the women, Jenna, I'm mentioning you because you better be listening now. She came, she'd never even heard the podcast. I was like, how did you even find it? And by the end of it, after much ribbing, she is listening now, and she met this tribe. We all did, and I can't tell you how amazing it was. So I absolutely am going to be doing some more of these. I think February. I think let's get Christmas and January out of the way, and I will release a date in January for February, and then maybe something in the spring as well. So if you are interested in coming on one of the retreats, they're called Soul Sisters Retreats, and you can express your interest on the website, which is widowedaf.com. What that means is I will just let you know you'll hear first, basically, and then dates will be issued, and they will, I'm afraid, because of the level of interest, have to be a first come, first serve, and there'll be a reserve list. And, if the demand is there, then I'll try and do more. Do you know what the main issue for me is? I have to get rid of my kids. So I have to get somebody to look after my kids for 3 days. And so that, because my parents have the audacity to have a social life, so rude that they know they've got grandchildren to look after. The other bit of exciting news from my end is this long talked about book. So I haven't really given you an update on the book because I have been completely devastated. I found a publisher. It's something called a hybrid publisher. So they, you have to submit and there's a little bit of credibility to it. And it was all going really well. And suddenly I noticed that my emails hadn't been replied to. So I chased up my contact and I got an out of office saying that she no longer worked there. Oh, bloody hell, she'd been sacked. So then I go to email the owner, the company, because, I'm just going up the chain at this point. And eventually I get an email back saying they've gone into liquidation. So the money that I had paid, because yes, I did have to pay towards it, and the manuscript that I had signed off on, gone. So all gone. And I went into a bit of free fall, really, because I'd written this book. I'd poured my heart and soul into this book. I had used so many amazing stories from the podcast, because the book itself, it's not a memoir per se. It's part memoir, obviously. There's quite a bit about me in there, but it's also interwoven with other people's stories. So it's a kind of self-help / memoir. I don't know. It's a bit like me. It's difficult to give it a category. But anyway, so I went into a bit of kind of, I can't afford to self-publish, And in the end, my parents came to the rescue, and they are lending me the money. And I found an incredible self-publisher, actually the same people that published Emma Charlesworth's book, and she was on previously on the podcast. And they've been amazing. So I obviously have been titting about with it because I accidentally sent the wrong introduction chapter. I also sent the same introduction chapter to somebody to get a quote on it. And I'll be honest with you, it's shit. It was not at all the draft. Anyway, so I've been titivating with that. And I need to just get my parents to have a look at it, because they're really good at grammar and stuff. Because that's the thing when you self-publish, you don't get all the proof editing and all that sort of stuff. So what you read is what I wrote. So I apologise in advance for any typos. But the book, assuming all goes well, and I managed to get this thing finished, and they get it all printed up and everything in time, which I will know in January. The book launch will be on the 12th of March. Jesus Christ. The 12th of March. So I am planning a real party for this. It's a Thursday. The reason for the date is because that is the date that Ben died. And I think there's a real serendipity in doing this, in having the book go out 8 years to the day. Or is it morbid? I think it's a good thing. I think. So the book launch is going to be in West Malling, where I live, at a very, very nice bar restaurant. Again, I'm going to find out how many places I have available. And then I thought I might say to you guys, I might release sort of, 20 tickets. And, if you can make it, you come along, almost like a little lottery type thing. But yeah, maybe nobody wants to come. Maybe it'll just be me and some Ganabes. No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We're going to have a DJ. It's going to be cool. Yeah. It's going to be cool. And the book itself, it's hot pink. It says widowed as fuck on the front. It's very different to any other sort of grief or widow guide that I personally have come across. So I really hope that you love it. I hope you buy it, because I could do with the cash. And I hope that it brings some healing and hope to people out there, because that essentially is the whole purpose of it. So I touched briefly earlier on Christmas. It's tomorrow. It is tomorrow. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be in the past, but it is tomorrow. God, are any of us ready? I saw something on social media actually, and it said about how Christmas is just a roast dinner. You cook 51 weeks of the year. I mean, some people do. I don't, but some people do. And we get our knickers in such a twist about it. We really do. And this drive for perfection. I mean, my daughter said to me yesterday, I'm going to take them to Leeds Castle to see some lights. We're having a lovely time. And she said, oh, I really hope Santa brings me those Lottie Brooks books. I'm sorry, what? So what she wants is a new set of Lottie Brooks books that she loves. She wants a new set of the books that she has. Wasn't on her Christmas list. And she tells me yesterday. So I looked on Amazon, and I could have got these books on Prime. And it's 50 quid for the set of books that she's already got. But for a split second, that mum guilt of, the magic has to be there. They have to have what they wanted. And I nearly spent another 50 quid on something she's already got. And I gave myself a bit of a talking to, because this is when it gets dangerous, right? I've just done the wrapping, and you're putting the presents in. Oh, they've got one more than the other one. And then you think, can I get to the shops? And actually, no. That's where madness lies. You'll never get it 100% right, because we're human. And kids are annoying, and they change their mind last minute. I swear I used to do it just to test to see if Father Christmas was real. So I hope that you have survived. I hope that it has been kind to you. I hope people have been kind to you. I hope you've been kind to yourself. And however you have celebrated or not celebrated the festivities, because do you know what, being on your own, if that's what you want to do, that's absolutely fine. It's just if it's not what you want to do, that's when I feel really sad for you. My inbox will be open all over Christmas. I can't guarantee I'll reply in good time, but there's nothing new, nothing new there. But I will check my messages. And if you are struggling, if you are lonely, or if you've got something exciting or joyful you want to share with me, please do, because I love hearing from you guys. It makes me feel connected to you, because right now I'm sitting in my studio talking to myself, essentially, on a camera, trying not to look at myself. So yeah, it helps me feel more in touch with all of you guys. So I guess that's it from me. That's the end of season 3. Season 4 will be back in January. We're going to have some slightly new branding. It's not that different, but I fancied a bit of a change for a new season. We've got some pre-recorded episodes all ready for you, so I know that we're starting off with a bang. I've got lots of guests lined up. I've got lots of exciting media and PR opportunities happening next year, so you might see a lot of my face around. I do apologise for that, but girl's going to do what a girl's going to do. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm sending you so much love from my home to yours, and I really hope you'll be back with me in January. But for now, it's bye from me. Lots of love. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you think someone else may benefit from this, please do share. We'd also really appreciate a quick review. It helps more people find the show. Thank you again, and see you next time on Widowed AF.